Alright boys and girls, this is going to be a somewhat lengthy video, so if that's not what you want, go ahead and click something else. If it is, keep watching because we're going to dive into this vehicle med kit. I'm going to show you from one side to the other what all I keep in here. We're going to go over all the things, the different sections of bleeding control, wound care, airway, immobilization, seat collars, gloves, window breakers, and all that cool stuff that I think you should have in your vehicle med kit. So first, let me start off and say I'm not a paramedic, I'm not a doctor, any of that. I do have a little bit of medical training, trauma and stuff like that. I know a lot of you probably have different skill levels, so what you keep in yours, what you keep with yours is probably going to vary a little bit based on your skill level. But regardless of your skill level, there are some things you can have in your kit or close by that can be used by other people that might show up on the scene that do know how to use it. So, you might not know how to use a C-collar to immobilize the C-spine, but it's something that's cheap, it's flat, and it's easy to store, and it can save somebody's life if they need it. And somebody else that's there, they might know how to use it more than you do. So having it on hand is better than not having it, because somebody might show up that actually knows how to use it. Alright, so I guess first we need to talk about the bag. In my opinion, the bag is not the most important part. It's basically just a container to hold all your crap from getting spilled out in the back of your truck. You're not going to be toting this 10 times a day like a medic unit. It's not a jump bag. If you want to buy a jump bag like a heavy duty one, more power to you. It's probably going to be bigger and organized better. That just means you're going to have to put more stuff in it. But anyway, it doesn't have to be super heavy duty. It's probably going to ride in the back of your truck and maybe get used once in its entire lifetime. But it does need to have some sort of organization and some sort of marking on it to let you know and mainly other people know that it's a medic bag. It's a trauma bag. This one is red. It has the logo on the front right there. So if somebody looked at this, it sits behind my driver's seat in my truck. If somebody opened the door and saw this, they would know, hey, there's probably some medical supplies. If I forget to grab it or if I'm away from my truck, I can say, hey, you go to my truck behind the front seat. There's a red bag, red medic bag. Go grab it. But anyway, this one wasn't that expensive. It might have been like 15 bucks on Amazon. It's got a little shoulder strap, a little top carry right there. It's got some reflectors on each end. It's got zippered pockets on the side, and it's got two clasps right here with Velcro that open up. And it's got two compartments, two little pockets here, some little slots for pins and flashlights and other things, and even on the lid it's got a few things right here. So like I said, the bag is not the most important thing. The most important thing is having something, but besides that, it's what you keep in the bag. So we're going to dive in real quick and I'm going to show you what you need to have in here. Alright, so first let me just say this bag is not complete. It'll probably never be complete. I do like to keep it compartmentalized for like bleeding, airway, immobilization, things like that. There are a few things that I have that are actually on order as I film this video. One is an ambu bag and a face mask. The face mask is what goes over the jaw. You can do the C-clamp on the jaw and hold the face mask. You can breathe into it. You can hook the ambu bag up. It's the big blue one where they every 4 or 5 seconds squeeze. The other thing I have it coming is a blood pressure cuff. Blood pressure is not that hard to gather. It's the basic vital signs that the paramedics are probably going to want when they get there, or before they get there they might want to know what it is. It's really easy to take. You put the cuff on the arm, put a stethoscope right here on this big artery. I think it's the artery. Put the stethoscope there, crank it up, listen for the bump, the first one, and then listen for the last one. You can also look at them on the needle. The blood pressure cuff will have a needle, and it'll go when you let the pressure out. It'll go, and when it hits that the top number, it'll go boom. It'll jump, and then it'll go around on each heartbeat. And it'll bump, and then the last little bump, measure that one. And I've been told that in trauma situations, the top number is really the only one they're looking for. So that's the easiest one to find anyway. You just read that needle until it goes over, and boop, that first little bump, that's your top number. But anyway, there are a few things in here that aren't in here that will be, or that could be. I'm sure you guys have some other suggestions. as always, feel free to let me know what those are in a nice way. Okay, so like I said, I like to keep it compartmentalized. And on a vehicle med kit, to me, it's more of a trauma kit, like you show up on an accident, like on the interstate, highway, something like that, motor vehicle accident, MVA. Somebody's bleeding, somebody's airway is obstructed, or they need immobilization just for comfort. You know, their arm might be broken. You need to immobilize it before the medics get there. So that's the main things I have in here. Oh, another thing. This is a Rescue Me. It clips on right here. Like I said, mainly for MVAs. If you show up and the door might be locked, they might be unconscious, the door might be locked, you can't get the door open. This thing, you push that against the window and push it, and there's a spring-loaded pin in there, and it'll pop the bottom of the window and it'll shatter the door window, and you can clean it all out and open the door. So anyway, on this side, I've thought about marking these compartments. Maybe want to get it more finalized. I'll mark them what they are. But on this side, as you look at it, this is bleeding control. I've got some stretch gauze, some rolled gauze and stuff like that. You know, you can wrap limbs or wrap wounds, or I guess you could pack it if you really wanted to. I've got 4 of these Z-pack dressings. I call it Z-packs because they're folded like a Z in here, like an accordion. When you pull them out, I think it's 4 yards? Yeah, 4 inches by 4 yards. So that way, you've got this big pack, and you can just thumb it or finger it into a wound, pack a wound. If you don't know, we pack. If you don't know, we pack junctional wounds, like in the shoulders, the hips, things like that you can't get a tourniquet above. Those are the things that we're going to want to pack with this stuff. Arterial bleeds, big open wounds, gashes, things like that. So I've got like 4 of these in here. Some will say that's not enough. Some will think that's too many. You can never have enough gauze, because wounds, especially like gunshot wounds and stuff, they are really big and they take a lot, and this stuff packs in really small. And for those of you that think tampons are good for stopping bleeding, you are false, because tampons suck. They're only like the size of a napkin. When they unfold, they don't soak up enough. And you have, say your wound is like this big, you have to pack things in to fill that entire wound up and put pressure on all sides of the wound to stop the bleeding all the way around it. You're not just plugging the hole on top, you're filling the inside. So anyway, I've got 4 Z-pack dressings. And I've also got a cat tourniquet, which might need to be replaced. This is getting on up there, it's a few years old. It is staged, it's folded correctly, so that way I can grab it with one hand, I can sling it and it'll come out, or I can just grab it with 2 and I can get it out easily like that. Either way, tourniquet right there. Thinking about getting another one in here, maybe put it on this side, or maybe get like a SWAT tourniquet, the stretch, wrap, and tuck. Those are pretty good, they're multi-use. Put some of those in there too. But anyway, 4 Z-packs, some rolled gauze, and a tourniquet for the massive hemorrhage type bleeding. Alright, then we open up this band-aids. This is kind of like a little boo-boo kit. You don't want to open up your Z-pack dressing for a cut on the finger or a cut on the arm. If it's superficial bleed, you can just put a band-aid on it and protect it for till it'll heal, till the ambulance gets there, whatever, just for small bleeding. I do have a box of more rolled gauze. It's got all kind of, this is actually like a variety pack that I got at Walmart. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a wound care variety pack, just like I said. I shouldn't have done that. But anyway, I just cut the lids off, stuck it right down in there. Everything's still compartmentalized. It's got some, these are probably 4x4s. Yeah, compressed gauze, or gauze pad. Yeah, 4x4s. It's got some probably 3x3s. Might have a 5x9, or yeah, there's a big 5x9 right there. But anyway, different size rolled gauzes to wrap things or to pack, to cover wounds, all that kind of stuff. I think it's even got an iPad in there. Not an Apple tablet, but a gauze iPad for your eye. In front of it, right here, I've got the, it's called the Emergency Bandage Trauma Wound Dressing. Hemorrhage control. I think that, yeah, this is the one that's got, I guess you call it Israeli bandage, maybe that's what the other name for them. It's got the little plastic thing in there, and you put it on the wound and you wrap it, and that plastic puts pressure on it. But anyway, it's just another way to put pressure on a wound. It's not like an arterial bleed, or even if it is. Right here, just some alcohol prep pads, you know, wipe things down. Maybe clean some blood off of an area. This is what's that? Self-adhesive. It's type of stuff that you wrap like athletic tape almost. Oh, I got it. When you give blood, that's what they wrap in your elbow right here in your crease. They put a little dot of gauze and they wrap this stuff around your elbow and it sticks to itself. I've got a bunch of rolls of this in here. Like I said before, just to wrap limbs, wrap wounds, and it sticks to itself. Put a big gauze pad in there, wrap it up, it's good to go. I've got 2 rolls right here. A lot of this stuff come from Amazon. Transport tape, this stuff is awesome. It's 3M transport tape. It is super sticky, it sticks to skin very well. Also hurts like a dickens when you rip it off with like a hairy arm or something, so be mindful of that. But you know, tape to tape down a gauze pad, or you know, tape down a makeshift chest seal if you need to. Let's see, on the other side, yeah, that's my 5x9 right there. I've got some more gauze pads in the back. On the front right here, I don't really have anything in this pocket, but I do have a flashlight. It's a little 4.7 flashlight. That's good for checking you know, pupils and stuff, seeing if was it pearl, equal reactive and all that stuff. I got a pen for writing things down. I probably need to put a Sharpie in here so I can write on the tourniquet. I can write on a patient if it's like a multi-victim, you know, multi-casualty, whatever. A lot of people involved, basically. Triage type stuff. Got some of these tongue depressors. I guess you can splint a finger or something with them. Some little scissors to cut small things. This pocket right here on the other side, it's got more like medicine, kind of iodine, ointments and stuff. I've got an open roll of gauze that I used on somebody before. So it's not sterile, but I mean, you could wrap something with it if you had to. I just put it in there. On the lid right here, let me slide the bag up. On the lid right here, I don't really know why I have this in here. I saw it somewhere. It's kind of like what you wrap to give a shot or like put an IV in. I don't know how to do that stuff, so I don't really know why it's in there. But beside that, I've got my trauma shears, and I've got them upside down because the lid is like this, and when you flip the lid open, they stay upright like that. I had them the other way. A few nights ago, I flipped the lid open to grab some gloves out of here, and I looked and my scissors were in the floor of my truck. So anyway, I keep it like that. Right here, I've got 2 pairs of rolled nitrile gloves, 1 pair there and 1 pair there. And when you roll them with the fingers first. Like, here's one for example. Start with the fingers and then roll up to the top. That way you can grab them here and just drop, and they'll come out, and then you can, you know, put them on and all that stuff. So anyway, I've got a box of gloves in this side, but I keep 2 pair right here. I can grab both of these, put one in my pocket, put one on as I'm walking to the scene, you know, whatever. And I actually, like when we respond to medical calls, very infrequently, or very rare, I guess you'd say, that we respond to medical calls. It's usually for CPR. But anyway, we had one the other night. I grabbed both of these, put 1 pair in my pocket while I donned the other pair. Donned means put them on. So, stuff in my pocket, put gloves on as I'm walking into the house. That way I'm gloved up before I even get in the house. Alright, moving on to this compartment. Big chest seal. This is a Halo chest seal. You know, if you need a chest seal, it's a bad day, so hopefully I'll never have to use that, but at any rate, it's in there. I do have an NPA. I have 1 NPA. I would like to get some more, just different size ones. NPA is nasopharyngeal airway. I think that's what it stands for. Anyway, this is a nose hose, basically in layman's terms. It's got a little pack of lube right here. Squirt some lube on the end. Take the little bevel right there, slide it in the nose, and it goes through the nose and down into your throat, and it opens up your airway. If your mouth is obstructed, you've got damage to your mouth, your jaw, you can go through the nose and the patient can breathe that way. We've also got some little trauma cards in here, just to kind of, it's got March on here somewhere. Yeah, there's March. Massive hemorrhage, airway, respiration, circulation, hypothermia, stuff like that. CQB triage, just some little reference cards. If it gets that bad, your stress might be up, you might not remember your steps, so it's there. Alright, here's one of the things that I have in here that I was talking about you might not know how to use, but somebody else might. These are OPAs, oral pharyngeal airways, I guess what OPA stands for. These go in the mouth. That's why they're called oral. It's a variety pack. It's got different sizes. It's got 6 of them in here, all the way from like infant to large adult, or whatever they measure it, from the nose to the earlobe. So depending on how big your face or your jaw is, that's how big of an OPA you put in. I have never put one of these in. I don't even know if I'm allowed to in my state, in Alabama. So I would be very cautious putting one of these in myself, but it's a small pack. These don't cost very much, and airway is very important. So they're in here. If somebody, a medic shows up, they will probably know how to use it. It's here just in case. Got some more alcohol prep pads. You need to replace these, like go through them every few years and make sure they're still wet, because they will dry out. But anyway, up under that is my box of Amex nitrile gloves. They're blue, this color right here. Don't get black, because black doesn't show blood, which you think that would be a good thing, because your hands won't be bloody or whatever. But in this case, you do want to see blood. If you're doing a sweep, like you're sweeping under somebody or sweeping a limb, you're looking for blood, so you want to be able to see the blood on the glove. You can get orange, you can get these indigo, blue, purple, whatever. Just don't get black. A lot of people like medics that actually do IVs and shots that need to feel veins. They like thin ones so they can still have dexterity, like in their fingertips. If you don't know how to do that, or you're never going to do that, you can get thicker ones. That might be a little tougher and won't tear as easy. But just pick one. I think these are 6 mil, maybe 5 or 6 mil. I'm not sure. Got them on Amazon. They're latex free. They're nitrile. They're extra large. I got extra large. My hands aren't that big, but they're kind of easy to put on. And they're not that bulky. I didn't want them really, really tight because, in Alabama it's really hot in the summer, and your hands are probably already sweating, and trying to put on a latex glove on a sweaty hand sucks, especially when you're high stress. You're probably running or walking fastly, or walking fast trying to put these on. So the bigger you can get them, the better. Just make sure they're not like hanging off of your hand, stuff like that. You don't want them to rip when you're trying to get them on, basically. Alright, so I've got, crap load of gloves in there. When I get my ambu bag and my blood pressure cuff, these gloves will probably come out, because I don't need 100 pair. I'll probably put them under my seat in my truck and just make sure I have about 4 or 5 pair in the bag ready to go. Moving along in this little side pocket, little thermal emergency blanket. Hypothermia is very important. People can die from it, and it's usually a little bit harder to notice or to think about than you would think. Does that make any sense? Anyway, it's important to keep people warm. You wouldn't think you catch hypothermia in certain temperatures, but you can. So, yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but hopefully you get it. Right here, some more gloves, like some last resort gloves. These, I don't know, they came in a first aid kit somewhere. They're already prepackaged, so I just keep them in the side pocket, out of the way, in case I need them. They'll probably get thrown away. Like, there's some more gloves. You see a trend here. Latex gloves are important. You don't want to catch hepatitis. You don't want to get AIDS or infectious diseases or any of that stuff. We like to call it BSI. It's body substance isolation. Basically fluid, spit, throw up, blood, any kind of bodily fluid. You don't want that on your hands. So if you're going to have to deal with somebody else in a medical situation, glove up. In your pocket kit, ankle kit, put some gloves in it. It's really important. Before I forget, on the subject of BSI, we have gloves, and keep some safety glasses with your bag. These are clear. They're just shooting glasses. Somebody's probably going to tell me there's better, BSI type glasses, but sunglasses, safety glasses, something to cover your eyes, keep blood, glass, whatever bodily substances out of your eyeballs, because your eyes are actually open cavities just like your mouth. So cover your eyes up. You only get two, you only get one pair, the right and the left. They don't grow back. God gave you good ones to begin with, so take care of them. Alright, moving on. We've gone through bleeding, we've gone through wound care, a little bit of airway type stuff, and now we're going to go to immobilization. So right here, this is I don't know what they call these, a little stretch bandage, like back in the day when you sprain your ankle, you wrap this around there. But basically you can wrap up a joint, an ankle or wrist, whatever, with this, keep it tight. Got some more, I really need to know what this stuff's called, sticky gauze, self-stick gauze. We've got 2 more rolls in there. This is probably the most important thing in the whole immobilization area. This is a SAM splint. It's 36 inches. It's foam, blue on one side, orange on the other, War Eagle. But anyway, it's 36 inches, so when you unroll it, it's 3 feet long, right? It's got aluminum inside of it, so you can mold it. Like, say somebody breaks their forearm, you can fold this over one time, fold the end in about that far so they can have something to grip, and run it down the elbow and mold it to the arm. Not the broken arm, you mold it to the other arm, that way it doesn't hurt. And then once it's molded, you can put the broken limb in there, wrap it with this guy right here, or some of that sticky gauze, or you can take a triangle bandage, which you should probably do anyway if it's an arm. After you wrap the splint to it, take a triangle bandage and make them a little sling for it to help immobilize it against their body. But anyway, SAM splint, really important. I guess technically you can immobilize a leg with it. It's long enough. There's actually a picture of them immobilizing a leg right there. Arm, leg, whatever you want to do, you can mold it. You can actually cut it. I guess if you have good enough trauma shears, you can cut it to length. You can cut through the aluminum in there. But anyway, these are like 10 bucks. They're not that expensive. They're not that big. They come rolled up like this, and they're very important for limb immobilization. Because like I said, the main idea for this kit is like a motor vehicle accident, some nasty trauma you might see while you're in your car. So the main things you're probably going to come across is bleeding, small wounds, airway you might come across, but we all know airway is really important in the CAB acronym, circulation, airway, breathing. So we've got circulation and we got airway. And I guess when I get my ambu bag and my face mask, that will be breathing. And then immobilization, somebody breaks their arm, they've got some damage in there, you don't want the bones moving around. It could do some like nerve damage, and they could lose feeling in their hand, lose circulation, all that kind of stuff. So immobilization is good. Alright, speaking of immobilization, let's close this guy up. Right here. These are, I've got 2 of them actually. We've got an adult size and an infant or a child size. These are C collars. The C stands for cervical. It's a cervical collar. Whenever you see somebody on TV or even in like real life, when they get in a car wreck or a bad accident, they load them up in the ambulance. They've got this big collar around their neck. It's a cervical collar. It isolates their cervical vertebrae, the C1, C2, I guess it would be C1, C2. Those type of vertebrae are in the neck, in the upper shoulder, because those are very important because they but they are linked to the lungs. So if you fracture certain cervical vertebrae, if you fracture them, it could damage, or like you could lose nerve connection to your lungs, and your lungs will quit and you'll suffocate and die. So that's why cervical collars are important. They keep your head from turning side to side. You know, going up and down is not that as important. It's mainly just going side to side. You don't want to shear those vertebrae and damage the spinal cord and the nerves that are connected to it. So these are different size. They're adjustable. They have a chin piece that folds out. I got these. They might not be the best ones, but they were cheap, or inexpensive, I should say. They're inexpensive, and as you can see, they lay perfectly flat. A lot of the other ones are already curved, and the chin piece is already popped out, so they can't lay flat. And you know, when you're in an ambulance and you have big compartments where you can keep cervical collars like that, that's great. But when you're in your personal truck and you're trying to keep your stuff, you know, either hidden or just out of the way for your personal use, you want to get something flat that'll sit like this. This is how I keep it in my truck. These sit almost under the seat, and then the red bag sits right on top of it behind the seat like this, completely out of the way. Nobody usually rides in the back of my truck anyway. If they do, they're just going to have to deal with my medic bag and my seat collars. So, neck immobilization. I know, like, backboards, everybody thinks backboards are really important, but I might be wrong saying this, but I think backboards are not as important anymore. They're not stressed as much. It's mainly just seat collars because, you know, a lot of times you can't get a backboard on somebody. You have to move them before you can get them. I'm not saying you can go willy-nilly and start snatching people and turn them sideways. If you have to drag somebody, drag them on the long axis of the body. That means from the shoulders or for the feet. Don't pull them sideways. But anyway, cervical collars are really important, especially in car wrecks. People's faces hit the back of seats, hit the airbags, hit the steering wheels. Their face could be sideways. It could fracture those vertebrae. And if they get to moving too much, you know, side to side and turning, they could cause some real serious damage. So put the seat collar on. Alright, so like I said, the main things that I think I will use this bag for are bleeding, wound care, airway, and immobilization. So you have the three main is circulation, airway, and breathing. They're all covered in this bag. There are some things I could put in here that may or may not matter. One thing is like a pulse ox. It's one of those stats type things, your oxygen levels. It's a little thing that goes on your forefinger, and it reads your oxygen level, I guess like in your blood or whatever. It's just one of those kind of like blood pressure and pulse and all that stuff. It's one of those assessment things that paramedics want to know when they get there. You know, they're going to check it anyway, but I guess if you can give them a heads up, depending on how far away you are from your paramedic response, you know, it might help. So I ride on the interstate at least a little bit every day. I ride on back roads. There's no cell signal. If I get in a wreck or if I come upon a wreck, there's no telling how long it could take, 15, 20 minutes before the fire department, the medics, whoever the responders can get there to render aid. So if I come up on it before they do, I think I've got a pretty good variety and a pretty good stock of supplies and equipment that could possibly save somebody's life, or at least make them a little more comfortable before the medics can get there. But like I said before, your skill level might vary. You might have more things in here, you might have less things in here. These are just some things that I think are really important and kind of basic. Even if you don't know how to use them, you can keep them with you because somebody might know how to use them. Somebody might show up that knows how to use them before the medics get there. So at any rate, make sure you can stop bleeding, make sure you can take care of a wound and immobilize, an arm, a limb, something like that. Get some CPR training, know how to put a tourniquet on, know how to pack a wound, and all that good stuff, and you should be good. So yeah, this is my my truck, my vehicle trauma kit. That's what I keep in it. So get you a little bag, put some of this stuff in here. Rock on. You might save somebody's life one day. Anyways, if you like the video and you want to see a few more, go ahead and subscribe. If not, just at least watch one more while you're here. Click the bell, the little notification thing. That way you know when new videos come out. I'm trying to put them out once a week to help you guys out, make it a little more consistent. So click the bell, like, and do all the other cool guy stuff that helps me out.